So the iPhone 15 price is going up, and this is not the best news we want to hear. But the big question is, why is it increasing? Well, today I want to give you kind of my own analysis why I think the price is going up. And also I also want to share with you, possibly if you live in a different country to the USA, like me, I live in the UK, if you live in Europe, or if you live somewhere else in the world, why is the iPhone more expensive in other countries than in just the USA? Well, today I'm going to reveal all for you. So right now, if you are a US citizen out there, you will know that you can pick up a brand new iPhone 14 Pro Max like I've got right here for $1,099. However, to the rest of the world out there, it isn't actually $1,099 what the guys in the USA have to pay. In fact, in most of the states, you actually got to pay a tax on top of this. And Apple doesn't show this initially when you're actually buying a brand new iPhone. So just to show you here, you can see the iPhone 14 Pro Max is $1,099. However, further down here, after I put in a New York zip code, you can actually see the price has actually increased even more. It's now $1,196.54. So actually this has increased round about $97 more than what the initial price that actually Apple advertised to begin with at that $1,099. So that was just New York, for example. So other states out there, it could be a little bit more, it could be a little bit less. There is also 1 or 2 states that don't actually charge at all, but I don't know which ones those are. So put down in the comments below any guys from the USA who can tell me which states where you don't actually pay any tax for any purchases. Is exactly what it is on the label. But to be honest with you, for me, I've been to the USA quite a few times and I've been surprised at this because, for example, for me in the UK, what we have, whatever price that you get, so looking at the Apple Store here, the price that you see for any of the iPhones or any Apple products is exactly what you're going to pay. You're not going to pay anything more or anything less when you get to the checkout to put this through. It's exactly the exact same cost throughout. So it does not change a bit. And I know some of you guys in the US are probably, that's a bit weird, but that's just the way how we are. And to be honest, quite a lot of other countries are exactly the same too, where we just basically see the total amount, exactly what we have to pay for. However, as you can see here, for the price of an iPhone 14 Pro Max in the UK, we actually also have something called a VAT charge or a VAT charge. And you can see it here, it's £199.83. And basically what this is a tax charge which always included in the final amount of a total cost of any item that you wish to buy in the UK. So the big question is what is VAT? Well, VAT is what we have to pay for here in the UK. It's anything on purchases or products. And as you can see here on the UK's government website, it's 20% for basically majority of things. Obviously, if you buy some like baby things and things like this, you know, it's a 5%. But just for general most things, it is a 20% flat rule across all items and products that we have to pay a tax on. So if you can imagine right now how much an iPhone costs in the US, and then basically if you translate that back over to pounds, and obviously that will probably come down as far less for that, then obviously you add on the VAT, then bingo, you can see why just for the UK, for example, the UK, we have to pay more in the actual sort of ratio compared to the US dollar. But it's not just this either, it's not just VAT, and a lot of other countries have the equivalent to VAT too. We also have import taxes and things like this, or shipping taxes. So for example, right now, majority of the iPhones and bits and pieces like the iPhone 14 Pro Max that I have right here, what we have to actually do, they have to be shipped out from China. Now obviously when they ship a load of iPhones and everything over to America, there'll be a separate shipping charge for that, and there'll also be a separate tax to accept those goods in to actually for America. Whereas in the UK, the shipping cost from China will be a completely different rate. China will charge a different rate completely, and then obviously the UK will have its own tax again to import that actually in. Then you've got the VAT too on top, what I just spoke about. So you can see straight away that it's more expensive to get a new iPhone. So hopefully, as you can see there, that answers that question for you of why probably in different parts of the world, the iPhone costs more or sometimes even a tiny bit less than what it does in the USA. If you are guessing it less than what you can get it for in the USA, let me know in the comments below, because trust me, I'm getting on the plane, I'm going to buy it from your country instead, because here in the UK, and I know in loads of parts of Europe and other parts of the world, it's really, really expensive. But the other factor I do want to talk about today is obviously that we've heard that the iPhone 15 price is definitely going to be increasing this year. Now, straight away, I know a lot of you people are going to go, this is really stupid. The iPhone's forever increasing in price. This is ridiculous. Now, I think this is only for people who live in other countries than the US. If you've actually been living in the US this whole time, since the iPhone XS what came out, or the XS, whatever you want to call it, and we had the Max model, what is basically the equivalent of what I've got here, the newer version of it, it always started out at $1,099 US, and the iPhone 14 Pro Max, before obviously US taxes, is $1,099 US. Now, one thing I would actually say is that Apple have kept that price since 2018 all the way up to now. So for them to increase their price for the first time in actually such a long time, it's very, very good. Like I will repeat myself, I know other countries the price has increased, but this isn't actually Apple. This is to do with those shipping fees. This is to do with taxes, inflation, everything else like that. And talk about inflation, this is something what Apple have to do. So back in 2018, if you have a look at this chart here, and if we put in the year 2018 right here, and then obviously it says I purchased an item for, and if we put in the cost of the iPhone XS Max when it came out, what was $1,099 US, and then obviously now if we actually calculate that afterwards, you can actually see it's actually now worth $1,335.35 instead. And at the end of the day, like I just said, this is the same cost of what we actually pay for the actual iPhone 14 Pro Max right now. So if I change to 2022, you can actually see here when it came out, the iPhone 14 Pro Max, it was $1,280.84. So straight away, you can actually see that Apple are actually losing out on some of their profit there because of just general inflation. So for Apple to increase their price this year, you can understand why. You know, we've actually been getting like the equivalent of like this iPhone 14 Pro Max actually cheaper from them. In fact, they're actually getting lower profits. And obviously, as we know what's going on in the world right now, after COVID-19, prices are increasing, they're soaring high, inflation's going high. Apple are going to have to adapt like any other company out there. And in fact, we've already seen some signs of this already from Apple. If you've got iCloud right now, like I have, the price has increased a little bit more. And this is going to be the same thing for things like the iPhone and also for MacBooks and everything else like that. The price has to increase because it's in line with the world. Apple have to keep up with their profits at the end of the day. I know they just hit that 3 trillion mark, which just come out in the news, but they have to continue to grow. So what I'm going to say is right now, probably most likely we haven't actually seen the official price increase, but we have had lots of leaks and rumors come through ever since January time, and then all the way over into March and into June time here, as you can see from Jeff Poo, who said that basically a price increase is definitely coming. But what we've got to understand is that Apple have got to break in a bit more money for themselves because they actually are losing out since 2018. And what business is not going to do that? So don't go, you know, the whole thing in your mind going, oh, it's really silly. Apple are increasing their prices. They're always increasing their prices. As I've just shown to you, since 2018 all the way till now, Apple actually haven't increased their prices of their iPhones over that whole time. They've actually stayed the same. So this is the first time in 5 years, and that is pretty impressive. And I think with that as well, what's probably really cool is that Apple probably won't increase their baseline price over the next, say, 3 or 4 or 5 years again. So whatever price it's going to stick to now, we will not see an increase for a while yet. Unless, again, inflation goes soaring, rocketing out of control and still continues to grow at an alarming rate, then yes, obviously, probably it might increase sooner than that. But if it doesn't, then obviously I think this price might be sticking around for a while. The other factor that you've got to remember as well is that if you remember when we had an iPhone XS Max when that came out, and then obviously what we've got here with the iPhone 14 Pro Max, and how many more features we've got in the iPhone 14 Pro Max compared to the iPhone XS. We've got things like ProMotion. We've actually now got 3 camera lenses on the back, telephoto for example. We've also got a better screen. We've got dynamic island. We've got a new design, and the list could just go on and on and on about new different features that we've got inside this iPhone over the original XS. Yet it is still the same price. And then we've actually heard for the iPhone 15 Pro models, just them on the example, we're going to be getting some brand new great features. We've got things like the brand new periscope lens, what's going to come inside here. We've also got USB-C charging too, bigger batteries. These are not cheap, guys. These actually are going to have a lot of cost inside it. And like I said, Apple still have to work on their actual progress to make actually better products, get more money, and do more and more research. You've also got to understand that factor too. To wrap this up, guys, I think the main thing we're going to say is the price is increasing. Is it a bad thing? Of course it is. We always hate having a higher price, but we've also got to remember where we've come from. We've basically had 5 years of no price increases on the iPhone, and now we're finally getting one. Obviously, I know a lot of you guys out there said the phone has increased in price. For example, me in the UK, an iPhone 12 Pro Max was cheaper than the iPhone 14 Pro Max. But that wasn't down to Apple, that was down to importing fees, that was down to taxes and things like this and inflation. It's got nothing actually fully to do with Apple. They're just happy with the same profits they are getting as they've had since the iPhone 10 Max, and basically they want to keep this again. So, from this, I think we can, in a way, in my honest opinion, forgive Apple to increase their prices. And I will also say at the end of the day that all other products and all other companies like Samsung and so on and so forth, if they haven't increased their prices already, they will be increasing their prices on their next products, because at the end of the day, inflation is hitting everything all over the world right now. And on that note, guys, it's time to wrap up this video. So if you have enjoyed watching it, please do press the like button, and also at the same time as well, if you want to hear the latest Apple news, reviews and comparisons, please also make sure you subscribe to this channel and also hit that notification bell. Until next time, guys, I will see you really soon. Take care. Bye bye.